Harold Reynolds, Major League Baseball Network, joining us. HR, how you feeling today?
DP, good morning, man. Hey, I'm with you on pitching to Papi. It took him 5 games to figure it out.
Hey,
That's the problem.
Yeah, I had no problem not pitching to Big Papi when I consider that that's the lowest batting average for a World Series winning team in almost 40 years. I'll take my chances. I give credit to Victorino. 0 for 10, and then you bang one off the monster there. But it felt like a foregone conclusion last night. I think that everybody was sort of just waiting for the lineup to wake up a little bit there.
Yeah, Steven Drew started swinging the bats, but last night, the whole team started to come around. But you could tell kind of when you left St. Louis that it was Boston's to win. I mean, they let 2 games get away, they being the Cardinals in St. Louis, and have to come back here to Boston to win was going to be a tough task.
You look at this team, though, the difference with this Red Sox team, regular season, postseason. And because I don't think anybody thought, even once they were during the regular season, were they built for the long haul? We didn't know what the rotation was going to look like. They were on their 3rd closer. You did have some bats there, some good sticks, but handicap what you saw regular season, postseason Red Sox.
Well, I mean, regular season, you're absolutely right. They weren't at the club that you sat there and said, hey, they're going to dominate. They didn't have 4 starters. You go every night, they're going to be able to knock you out. But I think what they did better than most was they checked their ego at the door. And it allowed John Farrell to be able to make those in-series changes, where Victorino comes out and Gomes comes in, and be able to put David Ross behind the plate, even though Saltalamacchia caught, most of the season, little things like that. Lackey going to the bullpen, that was big, so it allowed him to be able to have players who said the mission is more important than my individual accomplishments. And that plays big when you get down to postseason baseball and you're playing to win a series, whether it's 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 7.
Bobby Valentine's going to join us in about 15 minutes from now. He said that he would have had similar success with this roster.
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I understand where Bobby's coming from, feeling like he may not have had the roster or the players to do it. But the difference with this club is really, I really believe it was the manager, the message for the club, that they really had we're going to do whatever we want to help John Farrell. It was a different roster, clearly, than what Bobby dealt with. And I'm curious to listen. I heard you talking about him coming on because I want to hear what he has to say about the personalities he had to deal with and why maybe now, looking back a year later, they made the moves with the players they traded and got the players that they did. And who knows, maybe he would have had these guys and everybody would have bought in, but I don't think they would have bought in the way they did with John. That's just my opinion.
Harold Reynolds, Major League Baseball Network, joining us. Dan Patrick Show. Big Papi, a Hall of Famer?
Dan, the one thing that's going to happen with him is we're going to have to look at the steroid controversy. Without that, he's walking into Cooperstown. I mean, it's time to put a designated hitter into Cooperstown, but we also can't, forget. And that's something that's going to be brought up when you start looking at the body of work of somebody's career. And I don't know, and that's why I call it a controversy, because that was the one guy we don't really have a pinpoint on. And I know it's going to bother a lot of writers like Tom Verducci or somebody who's been real strong against that, and we'll see what happens. But if you look at it, overall body of work, 3 championship teams, he's been the centerpiece guy. In that sense, but we'll see the other stuff.
Yeah, the postseason, just like with guys like Schilling and some of these other pitchers, it helps. But with a hitter, Big Papi's had maybe 4 really good seasons, maybe 5. But he's won 3 championships and been one of the central figures in that. He's not a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And it has nothing to do with him being a DH either. Because I looked at guys who were Frank Thomas should have been a DH. He shouldn't have been in the field, but he's one of the great hitters that we've ever seen. Edgar Martinez, to me, a better career, but he didn't have championships than Big Papi. So Big Papi, I think, was great when you wanted him to be great, but I don't think he was consistently great through his entire career. And you're always going to have that stain, question mark, cloud of controversy about performance-enhancing drugs with him.
Yeah, but I look at him, though, as a DH. I mean, he's been, 14 years now, maybe longer, as a designated hitter. And that's, you look at him and you say, that's a DH. You know, I can slice up Paul Molitor, Harold Baines, Edgar, and say, hey, the first half of their career, here's what they did playing a regular position. But I think when you look at David Ortiz, you clearly are seeing a true definition of the designated hitter. And I think a lot of people will really look at that.
I'm okay with putting a DH in the Hall of Fame. I thought Don Baylor was great when he was a DH, and Edgar was great. We've had a few of those guys, but Yeah,
but I don't think their body of work as the DH was as long as his. That's my only argument, is that he really, truly had long years. But he'll be that guy that's really – he's in Boston. He's in a great baseball city. I mean, you look at Jim Rice and the years that he had, and next thing you know, he's pushing to the Hall of Fame. And so that might happen here. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting one.
Do you realize who's the favorite, according to Vegas, next year?
No, I haven't heard.
Dodgers.
Who you got?
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to look at, you got Kershaw, Ryu, Greinke. You got to figure that they may go get somebody else if they need it. Nolasco threw the ball well. He'll be there the full season. I don't have a problem with the Dodgers. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Robinson Cano as well. So, I can see them picking the Dodgers. I really can.
Can the Red Sox?
Do you? You see it that way?
It's hard to tell right now. Who do the Red Sox lose? Can Toronto get it right? What do the Yankees do? The Dodgers add anybody? So Nationals, have they learned? So I think that it's tough. It's tough to handicap. We have guys. We have a lot of teams that win the World Series in February when they made trades. Toronto last year or Miami a couple of years before that. So
right. The one interesting thing is if I sat here today and said the Red Sox are going to repeat next year, that'd be hard to do because I think it was one of those magical runs, and I think it's going to be difficult looking at their roster to sit there and say they're going to repeat. I just don't see it right now because I don't see the strength of the rotation and everything else holding up.
Safe travels, and always great to talk to you. We'll tug on your cape in the offseason when we need to.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, brother. That's Harold Reynolds, Major League Baseball Network.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.